Hey everyone, so I was overhearing part of the news that my mother and father-in-law were watching, and it was talking about how New York City was considering having meatless Mondays for NYC schools. Now I know a lot of you have heard my opinions on the keto diet and vegetarian diets and all of this, and maybe you're wondering what my thoughts would be on something like this. Well, before I have any thoughts at all, first of all, I don't think it is any school district's responsibility to have to decide what your child should eat, whether it's sugar, no sugar. Even when Michelle Obama took pop out of schools, and I'm not a pop proponent of soda or anything like that, I still didn't agree with it. The reason is no school should have a say over, no government should be able to control what your child is able to eat or has access to. It should be the responsibility of the parent. So that's my first opinion, because for those of you who don't know, I was a student teacher in Chicago public schools, and a lot of the kids, most of the kids, ate school meals, and the problem with that is the school had a designated meal that they had to give the kid. Now say they had to give the kid milk, applesauce, the chicken, vegetables, blah blah blah, right? And the kid knew that they couldn't eat this type of bread, or they were lactose intolerant. It didn't matter. They had to get the full meal. They had to give the full meal to the student just for them to throw it away themselves, right? Okay, I get it, because maybe some kids didn't grab the full meal or whatever, but there's so much waste going on once the government is required to feed your kid. Also, once there are certain requirements, a lot of times, a lot of places, kids couldn't bring their own meals or things like that. And that's where the problem begins, when we start relying on the government to tell us what we should eat or what our kids should eat, and we don't educate ourselves. So what do I think about meatless Mondays, or what do I think about any of that? There's no perfect diet for anyone, and some people, they do good with not eating meat. Am I against New York City having meatless Mondays? Nah, not really, but do I think, schools shouldn't have to offer every variety of food that a kid should eat, right? But if they are promoting that this is a healthier way to eat, then that is something I do have a problem with, because misleading kids at a young age to make them believe that meat is bad for them is a very wrong thing for someone to do. So if that's the case, I'm against it. But if they're just choosing it because it's a cheaper option or whatever, I don't know, I'm not against that. So I wanted to talk a little bit about diet, because this reminded me a lot about diet, and I'm not a dietitian or anything like that, but what I am aware of is that we all have different bodies. We all came from different ancestry. No matter what you want to say, we all have different DNA, and some foods make us feel like we have more energy, whereas other foods make us feel pooped and just lethargic, right? So for me, I can't eat like a big thing of steak or chicken if I wanted to, because eating too much at one time makes my stomach hurt and actually makes me feel sleepy and tired, right? But my husband, he can eat a big steak and then he could go run a mile. Me, I need a little bit of carbs because it makes me have that energy, but I have to make sure I have the right carb to fuel me. So there is no right diet for everyone, but there are certain things you can do to make sure you're eating healthy. And one of those things that you can do to try to figure out what your diet should be is you can make a food journal. And I've done this before, especially if you're training or trying to lose weight or something. You want to make sure that you're keeping a little food diary, Or if you don't have time to write everything down, another good thing that I taught my clients is snap a picture of every single thing you eat and drink during the day. And not only do you have to snap a picture or write all the food you eat, you also want to make sure that you're writing down how you feel that day. So you want to do this for a little bit because you have to play around with your diet before you figure out what fits for you, not only taste-wise, but energy-wise and athletic-wise, whatever makes you feel good, right? So this I would say is about your feelings here and about how your body reacts. So whatever you're doing, I would stick to it. And I'm calling it diet now because diet doesn't necessarily mean restriction. It's just a diet is the foods you eat every day. So write down all the foods you're eating. You want to make sure you write it down. And when you start feeling a certain way, you want to keep that diet, the foods you're eating, kind of similar for about 2-3 weeks so you can really see how your body reacts to those foods you're eating. I'm not saying go extreme in any way. Do what you normally do. Write it down and write down how you feel. You might have an off day. So maybe you eat a pineapple one day and you're like, oh, I felt sluggish after. But then the next day you eat it and you say you felt energy. So the reason you have to keep your diary for a couple of weeks is because there's some inconsistency. And if every time, and you ate pineapple 20 times during the week, and every time you ate pineapple you felt miserable and sluggish, maybe it would be safer to say that maybe that's not a good thing to add to your diet. But if it was inconsistent throughout, then you would know that you would have to still play around with it, right? So I think this brought up a good topic on how important it is to keep a food diary, because no one can really tell you what you can and can't or shouldn't eat unless they're a dietitian, but still they play around with their diet. No one can really tell you what you can and can't eat or how you feel about it. You're the one who can tell yourself. So when I see these diets online and what people are selling diet plans online, it kind of makes me uncomfortable, and that's why I don't promote any diet plans. I do recipe ideas. I give you guys ideas so you can see if it works for you, but I don't promote any sort of diet plans because everybody's body is different and all of our ancestors came from different places, so we all evolved differently. So you want to make sure you keep a food diary and write down your feelings. Specifically, maybe the first 2 weeks, you want to write down what you're eating before and after a workout. You want to make sure you get that down really well so you know what's going to energize you before you work out, how long before you work out you can eat that, and what you can eat after to help your body recover. And that's really going to help you. So when I was a track runner and when I did cross-country running, I knew that I had to eat about 45 minutes before a run. Otherwise, I would get those muscle cramps, and that wasn't good. And I couldn't eat anything heavy that was going to sit in my stomach. Now, my coach sometimes would yell at me about the foods I would eat, but those foods didn't bother my stomach, and maybe they yelled at me because those foods made them run slow or made them feel heavy, but not really so much for me. So I knew that I could eat Rice Krispie treats, and I knew that I could eat granola bars, but usually what I wanted to do, and I knew I could drink water, but not too much, because for me, drinking too much water gave me a lot of cramps when I started running, so I didn't really like to drink too much water. What I would do is I would swish a little bit of water in my mouth so my mouth didn't get dry, and I would spit it out. So I usually actually like to eat Rice Krispie treats right before I ran, because for me it was a simple sugar that I could easily use right before the run. A lot of other runners, they would take like a spoonful of honey and just put it in their mouth and use it right before they run because it was quick sugar for them to give them energy. But for me, I just had a Rice Krispie treat usually, or maybe a granola bar, but sometimes the granola bar, I knew I had to eat it. Like a Rice Krispie treat, I could eat up to only 15 minutes before I ran, but granola bar, I would have to eat about 30 minutes. So you have to learn your own body. Don't let anybody tell you that you can only eat chicken, fish, and this, and that's the only way you're gonna lose weight, or that's the only way you're gonna be able to be successful in your competition. They're wrong. What's the right way to do it is you have to listen to your body. And I know a lot of people, it's just easier. It's easier for someone to give you a diet, right? Because then you don't have to think about it. But it's not more efficient for you. So you want to make sure that you do what works for you in the long run. So I just wanted to say that there's nobody out there who can tell you what you should or shouldn't eat. There's no trainer out there, no government out there. There's nobody out there that can tell you what to eat. You have to figure it out for yourself, and the best way to do that is a food diary. Like I said, I've done it for myself before. Over time, you kind of get to know. But once you get older, guess what? Your body changes again, so you kind of have to figure out. Maybe pasta sauce starts bothering you. Maybe all these little things start bothering you. So you really have to start keeping a food diary for yourself and figure out what you can eat that's going to make you feel good. All right, so if you're a keto diet person, if you're a vegetarian person, whatever, if that makes you actually feel good and it's not just your emotions, then go ahead and do that. But remember, anything that makes you lose weight fast and quick and makes you feel like you're restraining, or you feel like you're hungry all the time or something, that's probably not going to be a long-lasting thing. So you want to make sure that you do something that's actually sustainable as well. Try not to do anything extreme. Alright, so thank you for watching and listening to my thoughts. And just please try not to pay people for giving you a diet. If you want to pay for recipes or healthy recipes that have conversion rates and everything, that's fine. But if someone tells you you have to have a specific diet, don't pay for that. You can do it yourself. You just have to make yourself a food diary. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, comment below. Let me know, and share this with a friend, alright? Share here. Bye.